Hey guys, welcome back to Topher Drives and welcome to the 2023 Volvo S60 Recharge T8. I've had a bunch of people ask me recently what my ultimate daily driver would be, and well, conveniently, we have my answer on test this week. So I'm super excited to take you guys out on the road and hopefully get my point across to show you what makes this thing so cozy, so attractive for a daily driver status vehicle. But before we take it for a drive, we're gonna hop out, walk you around it, and show you what it looks like. This one reminds me of the Batmobile. It's got the black appearance pack, and when I say black, I mean everything on this car is blacked out. The wheels, the grille, the badges, the interior, everything on this car is very stealth. And it looks like we have a couple of leaves in here. We should probably get those out. It has inhaled some crispy leaves. You're welcome for the ASMR. Anyways, though, here it is, Volvo S60. Not too much has changed for 2023. In fact, it looks quite similar to the past few model years, but that's okay. This is still a pretty understated luxury small sports sedan. However, this is the T8, so it is the plug-in hybrid. This is packing a quite modest 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. However, that's mated to an electric motor that drives the rear wheels. Combined power output on this Volvo S60 is 455 horsepower and 523 pound-feet of torque. So this thing absolutely rips. Well, when I say rips, it kind of wafts off because it doesn't really do anything to startle you. It's very fast, but it's not scary fast. And we'll show you what that's like once we're out driving this thing. But I've been wanting to have a Volvo because whenever people ask me this question of, well, what would you get as a daily if you didn't have the job that you had? And I always fall back on Volvos because they're just such a nice combination of everything I like in a car. The powertrains are nice, they're plenty quick. The Bowers & Wilkins sound system is excellent. The steering is super light. They're not super flashy and they're not super expensive. So they kind of do everything that I like a car to do from a daily driver standpoint. And I think this S60 may be the one that I would go with. Let's take a look in the trunk. As I said, blacked out badges here with this black appearance pack. Pretty good sized trunk back here. You do lose a little bit of room with the T8 because of course under here is just and battery and it's massive. Also, the rear wheels are the only wheels driven by the electric motor. So you have all of that electric drive back here. So you lose a little bit of trunk space, but it's still quite usable. I think I could probably still fit back here. If I didn't have a camera on my head, I would demonstrate, but I don't want to mess up my angle. We've got our T8 all-wheel drive recharge badge on here. Of course, also worth mentioning, this thing is all-wheel drive. Car and driver tested 0 to 60 in like 4.1 seconds or something crazy. And this is a plug-in hybrid. It's not a traditional hybrid, which means you're able to drive this car on electric only for 41 miles. Pretty decent. It'll charge up in 11 to 12 hours overnight. So, I mean, you get home from work, plug this thing in, and you've got your 41 miles of electric range for you to drive to work and back the next day. So, pretty convenient as far as that goes. Let's check out the back seat. Still a pretty usable space here in this S60, though this isn't the largest form of the S60-esque cars. You can also have it as a V60 if you want some added practicality. So as you can see, sat behind myself at 5'11", I've got enough room back here. Headroom is decent. You get a little bit more up here in the driver's compartment with the sunroof. But you've got pretty much everything you need in the back seat. This wouldn't really be too concerning to me because I don't think I'd ever be driving anyone in the back seat. But if you were, you've got cup holders. You've got some USB-C ports here if they need to charge their phones, and they've got heated seats back here as well in this ultimate trim level of the S60. Here's the dashboard. Everything up here, we'll take a look at that in a second, but we'll go ahead and show you guys under the hood. Before we do that, this car is on right now, but it's in its EV mode. You're right there. Okay. So it's quite interesting under here because you don't get the sound deadening on the actual hood, which opens so high. It like basically goes into service mode. You get the sound deadening here on the engine cover because it's soft and rubbery. You can see I can push into this and make impressions on it. So It's quite a quiet powertrain. You really don't hear it doing much of anything, and it's even quieter right now when it's in EV mode. Shut this huge hood down here. Take one last look at this thing before we get out on the road. You can see our Thor's hammer running lights. Overall, this thing just looks awesome. I mean, it's understated. It's not gaudy. It makes a statement, but subtly. You could still pull up and valet this car at Nobu and they wouldn't think twice about it. But you could also drive this thing anywhere and not really have to worry about getting carjacked or having someone look at you the wrong way or anything like that. So it really just kind of splits the difference and is perfect. Okay, let's hop in this thing. This is like the first warm day we've had here in Michigan, and all of the insects are out. You can see the whole windshield is full of insects. And I've only used a quarter tank of fuel in this car, so I haven't driven it a ton, but I guess it's enough to murder 50,000 insects. Here's our center console, which doesn't have a ton of room. Volvo's always polite and gives us a touchscreen cleaning cloth, which we actually need because this screen is gross. Is there a cleaning mode I can go into? You probably should have done this while the screen was off, so maybe we actually won't do that right now. I don't want to freak it out. Look at that, comes in a nice little package. Volvo branded. USB-C ports up here for your Apple CarPlay on your infotainment screen. No wireless CarPlay. You've got to plug in, but when you do plug in, it's in vertical format and it looks pretty dang good. It does everything you need it to do. Haven't had any disconnection issues thus far. Big volume knob down here right below it. We've got the crystal shift knob on this S60. Let's go ahead and grab the Monroney and we'll show you kind of a breakdown of some of the options here on this sedan. This particular car is about 64 grand, if I remember correctly. Yep, $63,690. Most expensive package on this car, and it is the only option that matters on any Volvo ever. That's the Bowers & Wilkins sound system, premium sound they call it, $3,200, and it's worth every penny. I like to say sometimes it's a $64,000 sound system and you get a free car attached with it. Otherwise, we have the climate package, which gives you the headlight washers, heated rear seats, and a heated steering wheel. The black paint, $695, and that's it. Everything else comes with the ultimate trim Black Edition. I guess this must be some sort of special edition. Black Edition features, gives you everything I talked about earlier. Black headliner, black everything. And it looks quite cool on this S60. Okay, let's get out on the road and we'll talk about why I love Volvos so much. So, we're going to go into B mode because that'll give us regen braking. You can actually one-pedal drive this plug-in hybrid car, which I think is excellent because you usually can't do that with PHEVs. So take my foot off the brake and it comes to a complete stop. I mean, how cool is that? Makes life so much easier. Never have to touch that brake pedal unless you're in an emergency situation or a spirited driving situation. Now, when I started this job here, not on my personal channel, but when I started my job with TheTopher, Winding Road Magazine, and Daily Motor, TheTopher and Charlie would always get super excited when we'd have Volvo press cars, and we'd have loans on Volvos, and I never really understood why, because prior to working with these guys, I never really looked twice at Volvos, because they're just kind of there in this segment. Why would anyone look at a Volvo when there's BMW, there's Mercedes, there's Porsche, there's Audi? Volvo just kind of slides under the radar and no one really pays any attention to them, and it's such a shame because these cars are really fantastic. And I understood this when I was able to experience my first Volvo week-long loan, which at the time was a 2021, I believe, S90, which is the big, long luxury sedan, top trim, whatever. I don't remember exact details about it, but it was the big sedan and it had the Bowers & Wilkins sound system. And I had never experienced this sound system prior to that car. And boy, did it change my outlook on life and cars and everything as a whole. Volvo does such a good job. There's nothing on the market that competes with that. And yes, I've driven a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, and I'll say that the Cullinan is about equal, but to even be comparing a $60,000 Volvo to a Rolls-Royce Cullinan should be telling you how good this sound system is. You can have this Bowers & Wilkins sound system in every Volvo except the XC40 and the C40 and the lower the smaller SUVs, but everything 60 and 90, you can have the Bowers & Wilkins. So it's definitely a worthwhile option. It's a worthwhile box to check, because it just adds to the pleasure of daily driving a Volvo. But another reason I love Volvos, this is reason number 2, is the steering. And this is actually, it's kind of controversial. I've talked to a few people that don't like the steering in Volvos because it's so light. But personally, I enjoy light steering in a daily driver. The last thing I want to do is be lugging my daily driver around parking lots and around sharp corners like the one we're about to do up here, where you can pretty much, I mean, you can't steer it with your pinky. It's not that light. It's not like a Rolls Royce in that respect, but it's probably the lightest steering you can get on any other mainstream car. I haven't driven anything else with steering as effortless as what you get in the Volvos. And they're all like this. I mean, I'm driving an S60 right now, but you can pretty much apply everything I'm going to tell you to every Volvo, especially every Volvo with this T8 plug-in hybrid powertrain. I've driven the XC90, I've driven the XC60, I've driven the V60 cross country, and now I've driven the S60, and I've driven the S90, and I've driven the XC90. Or wait, no, not XC90, V90 cross country. I don't know. I think I've driven the XC40 and all those, but those are a little bit different. But I think this was the last one on my list that I haven't driven yet. This was the only one, so I can validate that all Volvos pretty much drive the same, and that's okay, because you can say, yes, I'd like to have a Volvo, you pick your size, and that's it. Pick your size, pick your options, and you're good to go. So, amazing sound system, super light steering, and there's a difference in here in materials also that don't really feel like any other car. The leather on the steering wheel feels like a very, very high quality leather that's going to last quite a while. It's not like the smooth leather that gets really gross and shiny like you find in some cars. It's got a little bit of grit to it, which is nice. You can hear that when I rub my hand on it. So that's a nice thing. You get some cool cloth options here on the seats. A ton of different seat adjustments. You'll see that pop up on the screen here. You can see I can adjust my legs. There's just a sense of ease and class in Volvos that people don't get it. They don't even give Volvo the time of day. I did a Twitch stream earlier with TheTopher, and if you were in there, you know what I'm talking about, and you're excellent if you were in there as well, because you were in our first ever Twitch stream. But someone commented in there and said Volvos are underappreciated cars, and while I do agree with that, I think it's more so that they're unknown. People don't even consider Volvos, because for $60,000, $64,000, everyone's just going to go out, buy a BMW M340i, do 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds over and over again, get frustrated with iDrive 8, turn it in, and get a new one. But I don't desire to do that with a daily driver. I'd rather have something that's a little bit cozier and floatier, and I don't know. I mean, you either get it or you don't with Volvos, because obviously not a lot of people get it, because not a lot of people drive these. It's a miracle to me that Volvo is still making as many cars as they do in the US marketplace, and I'm very grateful that they still make this S60, because I think this one may be my favorite. This one or the V60 cross country, because they're excellent. Okay, let's take a break from saying the word excellent and go into our menu here to select power mode and auto on our battery. And we're going to take this spirited twisty road up here, and we'll go around some corners in this S60. We're going to use our regen braking here. We're going to need just a dab of brakes. Feel all 455 horsepower. Now this is still a 4,400 pound car, so you can't hustle it like you can an M340i. But she'll dance still. And it's blistering. I mean, it's properly quick. You can see it get up to speed there. It's quite the machine. All right, let's go back here into maybe we could stop and do a quick acceleration. We got a couple cars behind us. I don't want to risk that. Let's go back into hybrid mode. We'll leave this on auto, or no, we'll leave it on hold. We'll keep our 3 miles of range of electric. Just leave it in that screen. We can mess with that if we need to. So despite this car having a slightly larger wheel and just kind of a standard all-season tire, it's pretty quiet going down the road. This is a very loud road surface that we're on right now, and you wouldn't really know it floating down the road in this car. The ride is super nice, and that's what I like about just the regular Volvos over the Polestar engineered cars, because you get like the same performance powertrain wise. You just get some different dampers. You get the Öhlins adjustable dampers and different seats and some other cool bits that I certainly wouldn't tell you not to get, but if it were up to me, I would just have a standard one like this. Use that regen and tuck it in. It rotates nicely. You've got some good weight over those back wheels, so it doesn't understeer super hard or push. Yeah. I mean, just such a solid daily driver. Yeah, no drama. Just gets it done. I really love Volvos because you just get this sense that they're not trying too hard. I mean, this is just an honest car that isn't trying to be anything it's not. I mean, it's not, I hate to keep throwing BMW under the bus like this, but take the M340i, for example. They give you the M badge and all of the different M gimmicks on that car, but it's still not an M car. It's a 340i, which, I mean, the predecessors to that car were just called the 340i and the 335i. So, I don't know, there's just this different vibe you get in the Volvo that it feels like it's not trying to impress anybody. It's just relaxing. And if you like just being a civilized human and riding in comfort with soul-tickling speakers, then, I mean, this is really the car for you. Not to mention, let's do a quick acceleration because I don't think you guys have seen the true potential of this car yet. Let's go power mode, let's go auto on battery usage, and we're just gonna hit this thing from a dig. I'm not gonna brake boost it, it does not like when you do that. So we're just gonna give it a dig here from B mode. As you can see, it short shifted second gear there, but it still just absolutely rips off the line. I fully believe Car and Driver's number of 4.1 seconds to 60. Very believable. The instant torque from that electric motor kicks from behind, and it fills in all the gaps you get from that 2-liter and the 8-speed automatic. Now, before I let you guys go, let's talk about the one elephant in the room, and that is, of course, this infotainment screen. We can't just give Volvo a pass because we like everything else about them. This infotainment is not the best. They have done an okay job updating it throughout the years, but I'm still not the biggest fan of having everything in the screen. I like they still give you a volume knob, your defrost, skip tracks, and hazard switch. Those are all still physical buttons, which is good. You've got a home button here, which is physical. That's also good. However, when you start getting to things other than that, say your climate control, just the one extra click. I've never been the biggest fan of having climate in infotainments. It's no different here with the Volvo. I'm not the biggest fan. The auto function in here does a pretty dang good job, though, to where I really don't find myself messing with it too much. So you can kind of set it and leave it more so than you can in some other cars, because this is a pretty smart climate control system, a smart auto climate control system, I should say. Honestly, the most annoying thing about this is having the drive modes and the different battery settings in the screen. I understand that different battery settings, those may kind of belong in the screen, but sometimes I'd like to just be able to cycle through my drive modes with a physical button, and unfortunately you can't do that in here, and it's kind of perilous to switch it while you're driving. I don't like doing it. You've got all of your different driver aids and different things in here. Creep, which turns off your one pedal driving, or you can firm up the steering wheel, which why would you ever do that? Because The steering is like excellent by itself, so you don't have to firm it up. But if you want to do some like real spirited driving and firm up the steering, at least they give you the option. I'm not complaining at all that they give you the option, so that's quite good. Well, overall, I mean, this is just my perfect idea of a daily driver. I'd either have this, or I'd go, like I said, for the added practicality of the V60, but I'd go for a 60 platform car. I mean, this is everything you need. This is everything you need in a daily driver. And I love the way these cars drive. I love the way they look. I love the way they feel. And go out and drive one. If you're in the comments right now and you don't quite understand what I'm trying to say, please go out and drive one, because you will understand once you get behind the wheel of one of these Volvos. If you've only driven older Volvos or something like that, this is on a whole another level. I think they started this new era of cars in like 2015, 2016, and ever since then they've just been really on another level. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. They've been playing around with a lot of different EV concepts lately. We've got the new XC90 EV thing, and we are entering Saline, so we're going to go the exact speed limit. There you go, 20. We're going to go 1 under the speed limit. How about that? Officer that gave me a ticket a couple of years ago, right around this area. But I'd say this is a pretty good time to kind of wrap it up. Please consider a Volvo, because they do everything that those cars do, and you'd be a little bit different from everybody else. The architects have to buy Volvos now because there are no Saabs for them to buy, and well, you should be more like an architect, and you should buy a Volvo. It's not biased, it's the truth. All right, we'll find a spot here to wrap up. This looks like a church, perhaps. I don't know what this is, but we're going to wrap in here. Go ahead and get it turned around. A massive cemetery right there. That's eerie. All right, guys. Well, kind of just a, I don't know if this is a comfort mode episode or not, but just kind of hanging out here in the Volvo S60. Start stops is a switch down here, which I quite like as well. But that'll be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching and hanging out with me and bearing with me as I got probably a little bit too excited over this Volvo, but it's all for good reason. And boy, do I enjoy spending time in Volvos. So that'll wrap it up for us today. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below if you have any questions about the S60, and I'll be happy to answer them, or questions about other sort of daily driver things, but I'm probably always going to recommend a Volvo. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.